Hi everyone, we're catching up with Tom Davidson from ACDC Metals. A really positive update that we've received this morning. Tom, thanks for coming in today. What a great moment for ACDC investors.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. It's a pleasure to be here today. Yeah, it's really great to talk about this announcement that we released this week. It's been a really big piece of work for the company. So this is our second resource update for the Goschen Central project. So obviously following our maiden at the end of 2023. We went and conducted an extra 68 holes for just under 3,000 metres earlier this year. And we've had all the assays come back, mineralogy come back, and the resource geos have gone recrunch the numbers, and our updates come out as a really positive result. We've seen increases in grade of up to 18%. Indicated classification, which is really the key part that we're really chasing, has increased by 60%. So we've gone from 130 to 210 tonnes, a million tonnes. And so that'll really give us a great flexibility moving into the scoping study and with our mine plan optimizations.
That's huge. It's only the indicated two, you're talking the 230. There's still a lot more. If you have a look at the graph that's up on, or the map that's up on the screen now, you can really see that that's just it's a decent portion, but around half of what the actual mining tenement is in that area, and a little bit more drilling, and that can expand again. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So our initial resource was just over 600 million tonnes for just under 2%. We've maintained those tonnes because we don't need more tonnes. Grade is king, and we managed to push that grade up by 20%. And as you can see on that figure, that red zone, which marks the 5% outline, and you can see within that, we've had some really strong hits of up to 9 and 14% total heavy mineral. And so it's obvious there that it looks like we need to go back drilling on the eastern side and further push out that grade. So it really shows that there's future expansion and future growth on the project. But where we are right now is we're well positioned to complete our scoping studies, and we still have that growth piece to talk about.
High grade. That's just one of those words we love to hear as investors. Like you've got the tons, so you're getting up the grade. What type of grade is something which gets really good returns for a company in the mineral sand space?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. So in this WIM style deposits, you're not chasing those grades of 10, 15, 20%. If you can get a really solid 5% through your mine plan and through delivered to the plant, that'll give you really strong economics. We've seen with our peers around us, WIM Resources, Astron and VHM, who are all FID, they're really getting their mine plan delivering to the ROM at around that 4% mark. And if you refer to the announcement, figures 6, 7 and 8, you can see there we have a really strong red zone, which is greater than 5%. And that's the optimizations that we're conducting right now, is being able to high grade the resource, get down into that good stuff, and then really deliver a strong mine plan for the company.
Since the IPO, the shares have been sort of stabilised around these levels. They did come down a little bit, but you've delivered on every single front. Since then, how has your register stabilised? Do we have some good investors that have come on and soaked up those other shares in the market?
Yeah, so obviously when we listed, we were probably right at the peak of the rare earth market around that December, January 22 into 23. So there probably was a bit of some soft investment coming in there, but we've managed to, I guess, consolidate, and we are sitting at around that 65% for our top 20. And we've had some really strong support come on in recent months, and obviously STK Markets has remained as a sole supporter of the company. And since then, we've really been able to bolster I guess, our projects, and we've maintained sort of strong financial control. We raised 8 million at the time. We still have just under 3 million left. So we're in a really strong position to keep conducting our work plan and the work that we want to get done. We've managed to get 2 resources out for Goschen Resource. Our Watcham and Douglas projects, we've had really strong discoveries there, and we're following them up as well. And obviously we have the technology piece with the rare earth, which is a nice angle and gives us a good story into brokers as well.
One of the key things, you hit the nail on the head where you've delivered in terms of what you've done, 2 resource estimates. Like you've got the work heading towards scoping study, as you've said. Now that's sort of getting where you've got your peers, which you've mentioned, WIM, VHM, and the likes down in Victoria. I mean, they're all hunting permits at the moment. There's been some news in the ABC, which I'll let you touch on later. But what are your comparables? Like, seeing how you've advanced the company so far in such a short amount of time and really under budget, and kudos to that. Where are your comparables in terms of market cap? Where is your market cap at the moment?
Yeah, so obviously that's the real opportunity for investors right now. So our market cap, we're obviously sitting sub 5 million. We've got, say, VHM around the 60 mark. Astron Corporation is at 125. So that's really the opportunity there. Those peers have just completed their feasibility studies. They're going through permitting. They're waiting for the final tick, or in Astron's case, the final work plan approval to be able to go ahead and start construction. And when you look at the comparables as far as the geology in the ground, we're all the same with that WIM style, fine grain. Our grades should be able to get to the same point, and that's what we're really working towards, is to get that same head grade. And when you look at our assemblage, we have a really strong zircon content, and our monazite content, which is that rare earth piece, we have probably the strongest out of the lot there. So that's why we really want to try and bolster this grade through, and so we can realise that opportunity. And so the next steps for us right now is to get that scoping study complete. That will enable us to do some benchmarking with NPVs, IRRs, paybacks of the likes. And we were then positioned to then move forward with the project into that sort of feasibility type stage with our work that we've recently completed as well with the pilot plants. So we ran through 1.6 tonnes through the pilot plant. That enabled us to get all the metallurgical data that enable us to give that to the engineering consultants, and they can commence work on designing the flow sheet and validating the work that we've already done. We also were able to produce final product. So it's been a really key conversation, especially when I was at a recent conference over in Malaysia about 2 or 3 weeks ago, where I was able to talk with end customers and show, here's our product. Is this what you're chasing? Is this what you're after? Does this meet your specs? And so it's all very positive conversations. And lots of interest in offtake and further project investment.
Well, that's fantastic. You're actually already talking to people that can buy your own product.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because those guys work in 2, 5, 7, 8 year sort of windows and lining up their supply line. So even though we're at early on stage, we want the validation as well that what we have in the ground is actually a desirable product, and it's worth what we're saying in the financial model.
So the next steps, you've got a scoping study, then you've got your feasibility studies. Like you're saying, the data's almost all plugged into scoping. When do you think you'll be in a position to release that to the market?
So at the moment, we've just, with this resource update, this enables the block model LDC has been updated. We've handed that to our mining consultants. They're going through at the moment, re-crunching the numbers, redoing the optimizations on the mine plan. That will then enable us to rerun through our financial model, and then we can update the scoping study. So that'll be looking to that early next year, that January, February period. We'll be looking to release a scoping study. This week has been the resource update, the pilot plant results due out shortly, and then it's really then the scoping study. And then that Goschen Central project is really positioned then for that to take that next piece. And obviously with the permitting in the region, it's poised for a really good key driver then to move the project on.
I think the key thing was WIM Resources. There was some scuttlebutt on the ABC that the government told WIM, you're ready to rock and roll, you've got the permits, and they rang the landowners saying that it's happening tomorrow. I mean, Victoria's always been a little bit hazy getting permitting, but it looks like those other mines, or WIM in particular, should be getting that permit very soon, which I imagine that's going to be a massive wind in your sails. And I know at STK and a couple of our other clients that we deal with, other brokers, we've started to be accumulating ACDC at these levels, because if that comes, you've just had your update to the chalk, you've got your scoping study, you've got a lot of stuff happening in the short term and some outside influence, which could really put a rocket under your share price.
Yeah, that's right. And then, the state and the region is really screaming out for these projects to come online. Obviously, everyone knows about Victoria's debt, and obviously there's the critical minerals drivers there. And so these projects are poised to be able to provide that to the state through jobs and training and royalties. And so, yeah, it's a really exciting sort of proposition at the moment. There's these 3 key projects right at FID, and with nice big market caps and valuations, and where the next one they're ready to come through. And that's the opportunity for investors, is that market cap growth, and hopefully through the JORC resource update and through our scoping study coming, that'll be then where we can realise that valuation.
And you've still got quite a bit of money in the bank too, so you've really managed the drilling. It's not like where you've got Southern Cross Gold, you're going almost a kilometre down in the ground. You guys are only doing very shallow drilling. and it doesn't take that long, does it?
No, exactly. So like for us to go out and do drilling, we're only going at about 35 meters deep, 250-meter spacing. So over the course of a 2-week swing, we can complete about 70 to 80 holes. For us next year to really target that red zone that you can see in the map there, that would be 2 to 3 swings worth of drilling. And we're not paying what the diamond drill rigs are per meter. So we can be really efficient with our drilling. Assaying, we have a probably quicker turnaround. And so we're able to get that done and get that back into the resource geos to then go and re-estimate the update.
So you'll get another update to the JORC as well. So not only are you de-risking it each time you're updating the JORC and getting it bigger and bigger, and as you love to say, like we love to hear, higher grade, higher grade, higher grade. The project's really coming into a life of its own, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like we don't need to be out there chasing more tons. If we're looking at, I think if you look at VHM, they have a 5 million ton per annum plant. WIM's 10. So if you look at 10, 20 years, that's 60 to 200 million tons. We don't need to chase more tons. We just want to get more grade, and then that's really where we can see the economics of the project. And so you can see what we achieved last in the 2024 campaign with the upgrade, and we'll be targeting to do the same thing again next year.
Is a feasibility study expensive?
So for where we are right now to go into a pre-feasibility, given the mineral sand space, it's probably a pretty small sort of niche area, and there's only a sort of 2 or 3 really key consultants that you work with. So for us, so far, our work to date, especially the scoping study, was really economic compared to other commodities and companies I've worked with in the past. Given that Mineral Technology is based up here in Queensland at the Gold Coast, they've done all the feasibility studies for all those peers around us. And the geology is very similar between them. So it's really going to be a really efficient process to go into a pre-feasibility. Obviously, there's still the things that you need to obtain in the ground, so the geology and your geotech. But yeah, it should be a pretty efficient process to move into that pre-feasibility. And the current money that we have in the bank, that wouldn't be an issue if we decided to proceed down into that step.
So realistically, it's a very economic way of getting to project, getting to permitting. So when you're giving, and this is what I want to finish on, if you're saying that you've got a market cap sub 5 million, you've got Astron at 120 million, for example. For you to get to that 120 million market cap to get to a pre-feasibility study, you don't really have to spend that much money, which means you don't have much dilution. So the shares that are on issue at the moment, they've really got a really good chance. And I don't want to work out the sums because I don't get people too excited because it's a crazy number. But the multiple that you could get from here investing at the 5 million market, it's quite substantial if you look at 120 million as a competitor.
Yeah, exactly. So for where they are right now, like obviously Astron and WIM have been in the region for the last 10 years and they've done a lot of hard work. And I guess we're going to be able to ride on their coattails essentially with the work that they've done. And I guess breaking through the ice of mineral sands and the rare earth piece. But and you can see that Astron have just conducted the offtake with Energy Fuels for 180 million for half the project. So yeah, there's plenty of appetite for these projects. And so for us right now, there's only really sort of 2 engineering steps. So pre-feasibility and then feasibility, and then commence that environmental piece. So it's not going to be a hugely expensive exercise to get there. It's obviously it's time. It's the permitting is the risk, but as far as engineering and those mining and geology steps, we can be really economic through that period.
I really think the permitting. Now we've been to Melbourne. I've been to Melbourne many times with Southern Cross Gold, and I've gone to the Melbourne Mining Club lunches quite a few times, and it's been really enlightening that the scuttlebutt around the market is that these permits are getting issued soon. And whether you're talking to someone who works in the government, someone who works in mining, they're all very confident that these other companies, and obviously that ABC article, which will link to this, where the department rang Win and said, you're on, we're getting it. And there's obviously something internal that's just a bit of a hiccup. But there's so many catalysts for this share price to go quite nicely and above even where the IPO value was. So looking at 120 million market cap, you're 4 times the IPO price, that's 20 cents. It's still a lot of upside from there where we could go to. So it is an exciting time. Congratulations, Tom. You definitely have brought the project forward. And I don't think it's a reflection on management where the current share price is. I think the IPO maybe had 1 or 2 incorrect investors at the beginning that sold off after those loyalty options, and I'll be careful going into one of those deals ever again. But the reality is you're sitting in a pretty situation at the moment. You've got cash in bank. you've upgraded your JORCs, you've got a scoping study on the way, you've got more drilling results on the way, you've got the outside noise of mining permits potentially about to be granted. You've really de-risked this project, and I see there's a lot of potential upside. I know I've been buying more shares personally because I've been watching what you're doing, and I can see that you're delivering. And yeah, I just wish you the best of luck. This is set potentially for a lot of success.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks for the support, Sean. And yeah, it's an exciting time, and obviously this year there's been lots of good work done by the team, and really this last quarter we've been able to start getting out some good results. And obviously the JORC is a good one, and then the pilot plant results will be another good one, and then the scoping will be another good one. So we should be able to hit investors and potential investors with some really good news flow for the next few months, and then obviously lead into the new year and get back out in the field again.
Funny thing is, you mentioned the new year, and it sounds like ages away, but we're the 2nd of December.
Exactly.
December. Is there anything else you want to let people know?
ACDC is really providing a strong proposition and an opportunity for that critical minerals market. And so really with these mineral sands projects is you have the traditional mineral sands, your zircons and your titanium, which titanium is on the critical minerals list. And it's really, we get lots of phone calls from Chinese and Japanese off-takers. But those prices have really sort of stable, and they're really mature markets. And so the scoping study will hopefully look to demonstrate that majority of the project can be supported just on that. And then the rare earth can really be the cream. And then we can then manage through those volatility of the prices. And that's where we can really provide some upside for investors as well.
Funny thing is, you're already speaking to your own customers, and it's just brilliant. Tom, thanks for your hard work, mate. Happy to be a shareholder and happy to buy some more at these levels, which I'll be doing. Thanks so much for your time.
No worries. Thanks for the support, Sean.